Welcome back to Yoga Awakening. I'm Katie, and today's practice is a feel-good flow for spine and core. Let's get started. So meet me here in bridge pose. Find your way onto the back. And then we'll take a few lifts and lowers. So as you press into arms, hands, feet, lift the hips. And then as you breathe out, lower the hips back down to the mat. So inhale to lift. And a slow exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Maybe you start to wiggle the shoulders ever so slightly further underneath you. And then that slow lower. Let's do a couple more. Move at your own pace and see if you can start to feel the articulation of the spine. Maybe lifting even more slowly, feeling each vertebra, lowering even more slowly. Imagining you could just gently place each vertebra down back on the mat. So tailbone lifting first, rolling up the spine as you inhale. And exhale, maybe closing the eyes, this final lower. Pause there. Starting to build that connection with the torso, with the back of the body. And then we'll extend the legs out long. And find our way into a brief side stretch. So heels walk over to the right. And then I'll shift just shoulders, neck, and head also over to the right. First option, hands could come to the belly. If you'd like a little more there, maybe extending that side body stretch all the way up through the armpit, through the shoulders. You could extend the arms up and overhead. Breathing in now to the side of the waist. And if you had the arms outstretched overhead, and bring them down back along the sides. Shift the upper body back through to center and then followed by the lower body. Just take a moment to pause there and see if you can notice any subtlety, any difference there between the two sides. And then we'll bring heels over to the left, and shoulders, head, and neck slightly over to the left. You could keep hands on the belly or arms overhead. Now directing our attention to the right side of the waist. Make your way back through to center. And then we'll plant the feet back down on the mat. And then draw the knees in towards the chest. We're moving into some active twist, side to side, active twisting. So I might opt to move a little further away from my couch here. Make sure you have enough space side to side. And then arms can come out to a rough T. So I have knees to chest. And then I'm just going to send the knees off to one side, but without lowering them all the way down, where I start to lose that control and they fall down kind of the rest of the way. But just lowering to one side enough so that I can keep that control through the torso and belly, and then back to center, off to the other side. Again, maintaining that control there so you can lift the knees up just by using those muscles of the core. Move side to side. Maybe pressing down as well through the hands and the arms to keep this sense of steadiness. So some really nice active mobility for the spine, maybe feeling this nice twist, this combo of stretch and strength. And next time knees are over to the right, you can now let them fall all the way over to that side as far as they would like to go. Maybe now palms face up and take it into a passive twist. You might start to bring the attention to the breath, feeling the breath in the belly, maybe in the sides of the waist, the rib cage, the chest, even the back of the body. Feeling the breath move through all of those spaces. And we'll switch sides. Knees over to the left, finding this time that passive stretch. Make your way back through to center. One more time here to draw knees to chest. Maybe you curl in a little further. Maybe the nose reaches towards the knees. And then we'll start to take some rocks. So I like to bring the arms down along the sides of the body. You might bring the hands behind the thighs. Just think of this as a little moment of play and exploration, noticing where the body goes, how the body moves as you rock front to back. Maybe starting to come a little further up, toes could tap. And a little further back. One more time, and next time you come up, see if you can come to hover in boat. I'm going to scooch back a little here on my mat. So giving that a try, rocking up to boat pose. And then we're holding it here. Challenging this whole space of belly and torso, front body, back body. And we're going to take 3 lowers here, so low boat. So your first option could be to come here to boat pose with hands behind the thighs to support. You could pause there for a few more rounds of breath. If you'd like to try those lowers, hands will come away from the legs and we'll start to straighten the legs, heels come closer to the mat, and then lift it back up. 2 more times just like that. Low boat. Inhale back up. Exhale, 1 more low boat. Inhale back up. Great, grab around behind the thighs. Nice long spine. And then release the feet to the mat. Leaning the chest forward there. Just feeling the effects of those poses and movements in the belly, maybe feeling energy building there. Heat perhaps building in the body. And then we're setting up for reverse tabletop. So feet on the mat about hips distance apart. Hands come behind. Your fingers will point towards the heels. Hands about shoulders distance apart. And then once you have that foundation, think about that bridge pose again, that lifting of the hips. That pushing up of the hips against gravity. We have a hold here for a couple more rounds of breath. So thinking about that sort of thrust upwards of the hips, using the back of the body here to create this strong shape. Press down into hands and feet. Let's take 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. And then we're still keeping that control as we lower. So slow lower as you start to return the hips back down to the mat. Great. All right, we're coming back down onto the back. This time lifting the feet and knees and bringing the knees sort of roughly over the hips. It might feel a little nicer if they come a little forwards of that, especially if when we bring them further away, the low back really wants to lift up. So notice that. Notice where you can be relatively comfortable here. Shins roughly parallel to the ground. And then I'll interlace my hands and bring them behind the head. I'll widen the elbows just enough so that I don't feel like I'm crunching. But there's still a sense of broadness through the chest. All right, you might have guessed where we're going by now. Yoga bicycles. So inhale, lift shoulders, neck, head up off the mat, and then I'm going to connect or aim to connect, and they don't need to touch, the right elbow to the left knee as I extend the right leg. So maybe they come to touch, it doesn't really matter if they do, but they come closer together, and then I return back to that initial starting shape, and then left leg extends as I aim to connect left elbow to right knee. Back to center, and here we go. We're moving through our yoga bicycles. And here again, really what's most important is not how many you do, or how big the movement seems, or how fast you can go. But it's all about the control. And actually here, slower is usually harder, because we really have to fine-tune our control through that whole length of the movement. So instead of kind of whipping your body side to side, you might really think about lifting that one side of the back body off the mat as the elbow reaches to the knee. So lifting right shoulder as right elbow comes to the left. Lifting left shoulder as left elbow comes to the right. Keep going. Find the challenge here. See if you can even embrace it. Remembering that this is our feel-good flow. Building a little energy. All right, one more to each side. And then release. Let's take a moment to pause in constructive rest. So feet come wide, knees fall in towards one another. This time you might like to bring the hands to the belly. One more time. Drawing the attention to the breath through all these different spaces in the torso. Where do you notice the movement of the breath? And then make your way up. We're finding a tabletop, so you might roll off to one side. Come through a seat. And we'll meet in tabletop. Let's take a few rounds of cat and cow. And find your way back to your neutral spine. Curl the toes under. We're going to transition nice and slow into down dog. So for you that might mean, as it does for me, just bringing the hands a little further away from the knees, but you choose your distance there. So once you've found that stance for hands and feet, we're going to first lift the knees. Lift the knees, hover. Inhale, and then exhale, start to shift that weight back. Really strong, and then start to send it back. Hips come back and up. Maybe we start to pedal out through the feet. As we find this strong downward facing dog, you might shift the hips side to side as you press firmly through both hands. So then we'll come into our Adho Mukha and pause. Big breath in, it sends the right leg up, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to chest. Think cat pose in the spine, and then we'll step it through. Make your way into warrior one. So the back foot plants, find your strong warrior. From warrior one, we're shifting into warrior three. So strong, firm plant through the right foot. And then you have options there for the hands, maybe hands to heart center. I'm going to go for an interlace behind the back as I start to shift the weight. Warrior three. So now here with the interlaced hands, I'm drawing the shoulder blades towards one another and finding this nice sense of openness through the chest. So you might play with that variation of warrior three, so it might look a little bit more lifted. As I broaden through the collarbones. Find this balance here of strength and lift through both front and back body. Both working here against gravity. You might find a soft bend through the right knee. Great. Long line. All the way from that left heel up through the crown of the head. Inhale. Exhale, step it back. Warrior one. Arms up and overhead. Exhale, plant the palms and shift it through it to plank. Lower the knees. And then lower to the belly. Locust pose. This time, arms stretch out behind, along the sides of the body. Lift the feet, lift the chest. Building strength there in the back line. Exhale, plant the palms. Return back to downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, knee to chest, curl it in. Step the left foot through, plant the right foot, warrior one. Your choice, once again, hands to heart center, or you might try that interlace with me. I'm going to reverse my grip, opposite thumb on top. And then start to shift your weight forwards. Find your balance. Maybe a little bend, softness through the left knee. And you might experiment with that more lifted variation of warrior three. Sending the knuckles towards the back of your space. Broadening through the chest. Or you might send the chest a little closer towards the floor. One more time, connecting to that long line. This time from right heel up through the crown of the head. Inhale. Exhale, step it back, warrior one. Bring the hands to the mat. We'll step it back, this time into child's pose. Breathing in and breathing out. Connecting to this balance of mobility, flexibility, and strength in the torso, the spine, all the muscles of the abdomen. We'll make our way up to stand, where we'll end in Tadasana. So find your way into your Tadasana pose. And see if you can bring along with you all of this awareness that we've cultivated. Standing strong and tall. Feeling that line through the backs of the heels, backs of the legs, up through either side of the spine, up through the crown of the head. That same line then up through the front of the body. Shining the chest forwards. Standing here in the fullness of yourself. We'll draw hands to heart center. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.